Hi everyone, I saw a video updated by UnixJet some time ago. The River has released version 0.4 and now we can use the River protocol in order to implement one's own window manager. So I decided to try and develop my own window manager. Let me show it to everyone. This river+rrwm is the window manager that I have implemented myself, and then the layout he used, which was arranged in a flat manner. It is the same as this cosmic one. It will automatically determine which of the width and height is longer. Then cut along the longer side and create a new window. Regarding the decoration of this window, I have managed to create this gap in this window and the border of the focus window. I also configured an option for an intelligent border. It is just like my current tag, which is only compatible with one browser. It has no border or any gaps. When I open multiple windows at the same time, then this gap and this border will appear. Because it is a window manager that I designed myself, therefore, all these functions are designed according to one's own preferences. For example, the shortcut key for switching between left and right focus modes. I refer to this cosmic concept. For example, the focus I have right now, this kitty that is located on my left side. Then, if you want to switch the focus to the left again, it is already located at this boundary. Then he will directly switch to the label on the left. This browser, then switch the focus to the right. Switch back to this kitty terminal. And if you move it to the right again, the focus will switch to this neovite. It is the op software that I am currently using for screen recording. And then, the same shortcut key for this moving window. I also support this cross-tagging feature. For example, let's say I move this ops to the left right now, and then it crosses this boundary. Then move to the left tag. And then it can be moved further to the left. It means moving within the same tag. Then, when moving across tags, the same shortcut key is used in all cases. My configuration file is in TOML format. If you would like to use my window manager, this example configuration can be used as a reference. Copy it into the corresponding file of yours. The keeping section refers to the shortcut keys that have been assigned. For example, what I just used was the Alt key. Switch the focus between N and I by moving the cursor left or right. And this modifier, apart from this Alt, you can also combine them in any way you wish. The Super, it is the Windows key on the left side of the keyboard. Then you can stack multiple modifiers on top of each other. For example, pressing Alt, Ctrl, Phi, Shift together, you can do without modifiers. For example, I have mapped phone and the P double here. It has no modifiers. The function I have mapped for it is to increase or decrease the volume. Then, the same shortcut key can also be assigned to map multiple actions. For example, this reload configuration refers to the process of reloading the configuration settings. And then, this spawn process is responsible for closing the Waybar. Then, execute this command inside the shell to launch the Waybar. 3 functions have thus been implemented. There is still some difference between this spanwa and this shell. This shell is a shell command enclosed within a ICHGE layer. Come and execute the instructions here. Therefore, the performance overhead associated with this spawn mechanism will be slightly lower than that of the shell. However, this shell allows the use of certain user environment variables. It can be said that each has its own advantages and disadvantages. Next, let's discuss the configuration of the Waybar. You can find it within this list of tag icons. Specify the icon for this tag if you have not configured this. In that case, it will default to using Arabic numerals. And this is the style of the color for the currently focused tag. And then, this gray version represents the style of labels with windows. This black version is the style of the label without a window. Then, within this config file for the Waybar, you need to add a custom module. It is precisely this part. You can define it on the left side of this module. It is acceptable either in the middle or on the right side. And the taskbar below also displays dynamically. For example, right now I am focusing on the icon for WeChat, and then the Telegram icon on the right. It will simply appear in gray. Then, I press the Alt key along with the number 5 to switch to the Telegram icon. Then, the labels on the left and right are displayed dynamically. Our window manager supports multiple monitors. I am going to connect my other monitor now. Okay, now another monitor has been connected as well. You can see that this Waybar is associated with my window. They have overlapped completely. I might need to restart this Waybar afterward. I will try to fix this issue. Then, connect a 1080 monitor on the left side. I stood it up. So I have configured this transform to rotate by 90 degrees here. Then, his coordinates become 0. Then, the monitor on my right is a fork monitor. 2K scaling has been set. I will now add the left monitor to this ops as well. In this way, everyone will be able to see it. Then, select this dipon here. Then, the mouse cursor will become visible. Click OK. Then, now rotate it. Rotate by 90 degrees. In that case, it can be placed in the top left corner of my screen. You can see the display on my left side now. And now, this is my current focus. It is still the fork monitor on the right side. The shortcut I configured is Alt-T-Dal Ctrl-Phi-N. I can switch my focus to the monitor on the left. You can see my mouse. It instantly switched to the left monitor, and then I can launch some software inside it. For example, you can start Typora to view a document. Then I configure the shortcut keys, Alt-10 Control-Fu, Shift-TI. It is possible to move the currently focused window across multiple monitors. This init file is the startup script for my river. You can also replace it with any executable file. This one is quite similar to BSPWM. I will open this script here for everyone to see. The configuration I have set up here is, this is an environment variable used to set up the Chinese input method, and this is my window manager. Then, wait for 2 seconds while some software is set to start automatically upon booting the system. First of all, this is the background process of the wallpaper application. Then use SWW to set the wallpaper. If you have set this wallpaper, if we include the parameters of this monitor as well, then you can assign different wallpapers to different monitors. For example, right now, I am using my current monitor. Switch to a different wallpaper. As you can see, it has now been changed to this green wallpaper. Then, I specify this dpon within this parameter. That is to say, the monitor on my left side. Then, I can also switch it to a different wallpaper. It can be seen that it has turned into a blue sky. Let me talk about this WeChat. My WeChat is running using Xwayland satellite. As you can see, I am able to use the Chinese input method without any issues. However, there is no issue with displaying it on a single screen. If multiple monitors are connected, then the scaling settings for each of your monitors will be different. By default, it will use this minimum value for scaling. And as a result, my current monitor looks like this. This font might become extremely small in size. Moreover, this Chinese input method can be used when multiple monitors are connected. This input field might appear on a different display screen. I don't know how to solve this either. Let me explain again how to install my river+rrwm. Firstly, the version 0.40 of the software is definitely necessary. If there's a guarantee that some installations may not be successful, in that case, you can manually compile and install it. And then, this web is used for view the name of this key. Let me run it for everyone here. Take a look. Open a blank window here. When we focus on this point, for example, let's say I press the Alt key on the left side, then it will display Altel here. That is the name of its XKB key map. For example, after pressing the super key on the left side, it will also be displayed here. Ordinary buttons. For example, characters such as N, E, I, and U can all be printed here. I can do this during the mapping process. Use the correct name. And then these keys, such as Alt and Super, I have set it to be case insensitive. The capitalization conversion was performed internally. If you encounter a key that causes an error when you try to use it, you can use this program to take a look. What are the specific names of these key positions? And this is used to check your current connection. Display related information. For example, right now I am only connected to one fork monitor. After running it, it will then display the name of its display interface. And then, when configuring this monitor, you can specify its name here. That is, the output, add the name of the monitor as well. And here, there are also optional resolutions available. Next, let's talk about it further. How is this ontology for river+rrwm installed? If you want to compile and install it, you can refer to these commands of mine. Then, my warehouse provided an example of it. Desktop files. After copying it to the corresponding path, then you can go to your login manager. Selected it to log in. And then I also packaged this release version, executable files for the AMD64 architecture. If you don't want to compile it yourself, you can download this file and install it. Then I also packed an R, and its name is river+rrwm bind. If you want to use Paro for the installation process, you can use this command. Let's talk about the subsequent development plan again. Currently, this status bar only supports the Waybar. In the future, I will consider adding support for the status bar in the Quick Shell series. Also, I will probably add a shortcut key used to switch between the tiled and floating window modes. I have only been developing this window manager for 1 week so far. There are probably many more bugs that have not yet been discovered. If you encounter any problems during use, you can leave a message directly in the comment section of my video, or perhaps it is related to submitting issues from my project.